What is going on? It is Nate the Game Guy coming back with another video at hand, and today I want to talk to you guys about the decline of the Xbox brand. Now, I am a huge fan of the original Xbox and the Xbox 360. I've had a ton of great memories with the Xbox 360. You know, I played Blinx the Time Sweeper back in the day along with MechAssault, so I've had some great memories with both of those consoles. However, when it's come to the Xbox One and the Series X, I haven't really had that thrill and that enjoyment that was just, you know, up to par with the original Xbox and the Xbox 360. So from a fan's perspective and from my perspective, I'm going to go over some of my personal reasons about some of the things that Microsoft has done and just hasn't done, which I believe has kind of contributed to the overall decline of the Xbox brand as a whole. So without further ado, let's dive right into this video subject and take a look at some of my personal reasons as to why I think, or some of the contributing factors of the decline of the Xbox brand, right after the intro. So when I was going to do this video, I wasn't going to mention this in this video, but since this is pretty fresh news and since I finally learned about the subject, you know, I think it is worth me talking about right here. And that is the price increase of Xbox games and the Series X. Okay, first of all, I strongly believe that Microsoft is not in the position to be doing that with the Series X and, of course, their games as well. After all, PlayStation has been beating them for now over a decade now when it comes to overall sales and kind of just overall experience with what the PlayStation brand has to offer. And unfortunately, Microsoft is just not in the position to do so. And of course, I would disapprove of increasing the prices anyway, even if they were in better shape. But especially now, since they're at the point where most gamers would rather go buy a PS5 or get a PC or a Switch, even for that matter, right? Most gamers don't really stick to the Xbox brand anymore, unless if it's like very dedicated brand loyalty. With just how things are going on with the Xbox brand and how Microsoft has mentioned that they're kind of considering leaving the console market, you know, I think it's in their best interest that they got to make things much more consumer friendly. I know I will repeat this phrase a lot in this video, but seriously, Microsoft has got to do something to make the consumer want to buy an Xbox. Tell me why I should buy a Series X over a PS5. And just, you know, increasing the prices, I think is going to drive a lot of attention away and a lot of potential customers away. So I think that I'm going to start that off as one of the reasons as to what's contributing to the decline of the Xbox brand. And I think this is a big one right here, and that is the fact that Microsoft is not properly utilizing the IPs that they own already. I mean, when has been like the last Blinx the Time Sweeper game? Where's been a new MechAssault? Fable? Perfect Dark? Here's a big one that I think a lot of people would absolutely go out and buy an Xbox for if it came out. You know, a sequel to Conker's Bad Fur Day, right? There's been a lot of people over the years that have really wanted a sequel to Conker's Bad Fur Day. I'm telling you, that would be a system seller right there. Of course, Banjo, like another Banjo sequel, right? A proper one, not like Nuts and Bolts, although I personally like Nuts and Bolts, but that's another discussion for another time. I really feel like Microsoft has so many great things that they could use and pump into the Xbox brand, but they're just not using it. And I just think it's just crazy, is because it's like you have so many of these like different IPs that people love already. Why aren't there any games being made with them? And I remember several years ago when there was a Fable game that was mentioned that it was going to be worked on, along with another Perfect Dark game. You just haven't heard anything about those games. So I think with the fact that, hey, it's like, you know, like I said, make me want to buy an Xbox. You've had great IPs, own great IPs over the years. It's just like, yeah, Halo's great, but the Halo games are just not as good as what they used to be. And I know Forza does pretty well, but again, there's more what Xbox can offer besides Halo and Forza. I mean, Microsoft has got to focus on what they've got with some of the IPs that they own already. Now, of course, this is another big one that I believe is heavily contributing to the decline of the Xbox brand, and that is the fact that they are closing studios that they have no business closing. What am I talking about? A game that was a success for the Xbox brand was Hi-Fi Rush. Now, granted, it did end up going to PlayStation and all that wonderful stuff, but, you know, that was really working out very well for the Xbox brand. A lot of people liked it. A lot of people enjoyed it. It was a success for Microsoft and the Xbox brand. So you would normally think, hey, you know, successful game, why not follow up and make a sequel? No, let's close down the studio that made a successful game for us and added a reason, or one more reason, as to why somebody may want to buy an Xbox. I'm telling you, I just cannot make some of this stuff up. To me, sometimes I almost wonder with some of these poor decisions that's going with the Xbox brand, I'm almost wondering if it's like somebody is over at the Xbox camp purposely sabotaging the brand, is because that's the most reasonable explanation that I could possibly think of as to why some of these poor decisions are being made with the Xbox brand. It's very sad. It's just because, you know, like I said, I've had great memories with the original Xbox and Xbox 360. And unfortunately, if Xbox dies, PlayStation's going to go out of control. And when they go out of control, you can expect to be have them be a lot less consumer friendly. You can expect games to go up in price. They're going to take that to their full advantage. Unfortunately, whether PlayStation or Xbox fanboys, whether they want to admit it or not, PlayStation fanboys need Xbox to keep PlayStation in check, and Xbox needs PlayStation to keep Xbox in check. Unfortunately, that's just the reality of those things. So if Xbox dies, you know, Sony might take that to their advantage and not in a good way. Now, of course, I think this is a huge one right here, and that is the fact that they're not utilizing IPs that they're even adding to their roster of games that they can develop with. I mean, I've already mentioned before, they're not utilizing IPs that they already own, but of course, they're also not utilizing IPs that they've gained over time either. I mean, after all, remember the acquisition of Activision and Blizzard? I mean, they've got so many great IPs under their arsenal now. Overwatch, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, Guitar Hero, Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, StarCraft. I mean, there were so many great games that they got from that acquisition. So many great franchises with that too. Like, I'm telling you, Call of Duty, system seller. If you make that thing exclusive, everybody's going to be going over to Xbox. You're going to make so many people that normally play Call of Duty, like on PlayStation, want to consider buying an Xbox. I mean, a lot of these old school franchises I've seen revitalizations with. I mean, after all, Crash Insane Trilogy, Crash 4, Sonic Mania. Obviously, Sega's not under the Microsoft roster, but you get the idea that these old school platformers had a little bit of a renaissance not that long ago. And, you know, I think with some of these IPs, you got to make them exclusive. You got to put out some sequels, put out some releases. I'm telling you, I feel like Microsoft is just neglecting so much that they have at their disposal to build up the Xbox brand and make somebody that owns a PlayStation switch over to Xbox. I think it is just insane. It's like, dude, like I said, make me want to buy an Xbox. Just throw me some new Crash games, throw me a new Call of Duty that's exclusive. I mean, I'm telling you, those are some big, strong household names that they can utilize, but I just don't get it. Like, they're not using them. So of course, if I'm thinking about reasons about what's holding Xbox back and contributing to their decline, I mean, that's a pretty easy one to talk about right there. Now, I think this is a reason that is worth talking about, and that is I believe that the Xbox brand has a very clear lack of focus. And to be honest, all the reasons that I mentioned from before, I think could easily be part of that one reason only, and that is a clear lack of focus. I feel like with the Xbox brand back during the 2000s, during 6th gen, 7th gen, Microsoft was on their A game. Now they're more catering to, like with the Xbox One, they try to make it the all-in-one thing where you've got like TV and music and games. Like, it's an all-in-one console. And of course, like, I think they're better with that, but they're not quite there yet. And I think it's a great step with some of these things that they've done with the Series X. Obviously, the backwards compatibility, that's a huge one right there. A much better backwards compatibility program than what the PS5 has to offer. And of course, Game Pass, all that wonderful stuff. But like I said, I think there's a clear lack of focus with all these reasons that I mentioned from before, whether it's about IPs that they're using or not using, and price increases, and just all this crazy stuff that I think is just only hurting the brand more and more and more. And like I said, it's kind of sad to see because, you know, I love the original Xbox. I love the Xbox 360. Unfortunately, I can't really say the same thing when it comes to the Xbox One. The Xbox One was personally my least favorite console out of the 8th generation of gaming. But, you know, it sucks to see because it's like, you know, I love Gears of War, I love Halo, I love Forza, and all those other wonderful IPs that just Microsoft just, I don't know, they don't really care about much anymore. Of course, you could say some of the same things when it comes to the PlayStation brand, especially with IPs, but I think PlayStation is getting things much more done in a more efficient way. They're clearly doing things right with how they're beating Microsoft in terms of sales when it comes to the PlayStation brand compared to the Xbox brand. So clearly PlayStation is doing things right. But like I said, it's just sad to see just, you know, how they started and where they're at now. It's just not a good look. But of course, those are just some things I wanted to share when it comes to the decline of the Xbox brand. Hey guys, thank you so much for checking out my video. Please be sure to check out these videos here, and here. After all, I post a lot of content when it comes to game collecting tips, and other video game related subjects. So be sure to keep an eye out every Monday and Friday where I upload consistently, and I'll be seeing you guys next time.